Yes, welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone is well. Another fascinating week of Champions League football where every English side other than Manchester City got the 3 points. Are they in a crisis? Huge game at the weekend between Arsenal and Manchester United. Probably the biggest Premier League fixture when the Premier League first started. Wenger versus Ferguson. Now it's slightly different, but one of those teams is in a title race. Quite a lot to get through. Transfer news: Andy Robertson being linked with Tottenham on a free agent in the summer. Mixed feelings on that. But Terry's again with us as usual. How's things, mate?
Yeah, very good, mate. I can't complain. Won the Manchester derby last week, and obviously we spoke about that on my channel on Monday. But the buzzers kept me going throughout the course of the week, from a footballing point of view, of course. Champions League week was amazing with City's defeat, Arsenal thumping Inter, Spurs were excellent, Liverpool brilliant, Newcastle great, and I'm loving watching the tears because I think you have seen as well as I have in the social media world in the past 3 to 4 years, and there's some weird people in this group because they're actually they're on social media. They only really cover the Premier League. But they always make this claim that Germany's better and Italy's better and, oh, La Liga's better. So I love watching the fact there's 5 of the English sides in the top 8. Then there's a great stat that came out today. And there's this Bayern Munich fan that's like, see, the English teams are only in the top 8 because look, they've had the easiest run. Opta have like color-coded hardest to easiest fixtures. And if you're like a really light red, it's easy. If you're a dark red, it's hard. And they're like, see, this is why the English teams have done so well. And it's a beautiful read because you realize the reason the English teams have had the easier runs is because most of the dark red colors are English teams and the English teams can't play each other. And there's 6 English sides in it. So yes, every English team has had an easier run by and large than all the other nations. That's because we can't play each other. And we're generally the strongest teams in it, barring PSG, Real Madrid, Barca. And even then, we've beaten most of those teams we've come up against in this year's tournament. So, yeah, it was a great week to watch everybody cry about English football. Watch everybody cry because Arsenal are top of that group, top of the league phase. Cry. Spurs fans crying because they actually won a game. Oh, Frank's going to stay. It was great. It's great, mate. So, yeah, happy days.
Do you know what? I actually want to start with Spurs. David Ornstein come out with an exclusive piece of news, and this is what he said. Exclusive: Tottenham are working on a deal to sign Andy Robertson from Liverpool. Tottenham have brought forward plan for the 31-year-old left back as a free agent this summer. Not done, but talks between all parties are advancing in bid to reach agreement. Now, Andy Robertson is 32 in March. Very, very, very experienced Premier League fullback. Won Tudor titles with Liverpool, Champions League with Liverpool, over 250 appearances for Liverpool. What's your initial thoughts on this? Do you think it's a good signing? You know, bearing in mind, if he comes in as a free, he's going to probably be on a huge wage increase. And if we do get him this window, what's your kind of thoughts on that? Bearing in mind, we've already signed a left back this window in Sousa for 13 million euros.
So, is he a completely finished player? Nothing left to give football? No. At the same time, I've got to see what the deal looks like in terms of length of contract and salary. If this man's coming in on, what's he earning now at Liverpool as an example? Let's go and have a little look.
A week.
Yeah, if he's coming in on similar money to that, it's absolutely ridiculous. Because I know that there's buying experience, but clearly he's done. If Liverpool are like, yeah, we need to move on from him, Spurs shouldn't be buying him. It's crazy. I don't like it. There's something about this deal that feels. Sometimes you can get dragged in. Oh, Champions League winner, Premier League winner. He is one of the best left backs in the last decade. There's no doubt. But emphasis on was one of the left backs, not is. It was one of the best left backs, and I feel. For me, it's just a very average piece of business, if I'm being honest, mate.
Well, Florian Plettenberg has just come out to say that we're going to sign him with immediate effect, which would assume this window, right?
And there'll be a fee in that. No, Liverpool ain't going to let him go for free.
Tottenham are now pushing to sign Andy Robertson with immediate effect after the Athletic understand the verbal agreement is done. I would say this is a good piece of business if we put him on, say, 100 to 110 grand a week, and it's a 2-year deal, and we pay about 5 mil for him. That I can get, because I think he does bring experience. You know, we do need strength in the left back area. Sousa, no one has seen him play because no one watches the Brazilian league. The only thing that I would say is this Liverpool trying to get into Tottenham's good books for when they plot the move for Van de Ven? Because everyone, I can see that a mile away. That they are, you know, Arne Slott's come out and said he's a very good defender in the last couple of weeks. There's a lot more credible sources saying that's one to keep an eye on. Is this something to keep a quote-unquote good relationship between the two clubs? Because you don't really do a huge amount of business. And all of a sudden they say, well, hang on, we gave you Robertson at a discounted price. Now, can you help us out with Van de Ven? Because I think if we don't get into Europe this season, which is incredibly likely, you know, one win against Borussia Dortmund isn't going to save our season. If we don't get into Europe, Van de Ven is going to want to leave. And Liverpool, when you look at the centre-back problems they've got, it makes the most sense for him to join them if you're Van de Ven.
Yeah. Look, you could be right. If, you know, if the missus wakes up in the morning and gives you a reach around for no reason, you didn't ask, what's she done?
Do
you know what I mean? I feel it's like, hang on, this is not, it feels good, lovely, good morning, but hang on, what you done? But you don't normally do this. So, yeah, there might be an element in this where Liverpool think, let's play ball to build a relationship. He's a good player. What I will say, if I'm going to be fair, he's better than what you got. I thought a couple of years ago, Udogie looked like he could go on to be something quite special, but his growth has plateaued. I think Jed Spence had a good few months where I was looking at him going, wow. And, you know, there was I'd say for like 3 or 4 month period, he was looking like one of the best fullbacks in the league. But again, it's just curtailed again. Good player. The issue with Robertson is that it is a stopgap move because he's 31 years of age. And I suppose the big question is what comes next. By the way, as we're recording this, changing the subject slightly, here we go. Tammy Abraham to Aston Villa, done.
So that means they're not going to go and get Jean-Philippe Mateta. That's a striker that I'd throw like 30, 40, 50 million quid at. We're desperate for goals. Mateta for us would be fantastic. Tammy Abraham's he was at Besiktas, wasn't he? Of course, had that loan spell many, many years ago at Villa, but interesting piece.
Yeah. So he's going there. He's coming back to England after. You know, I think Tammy Abraham's had a good time away from the. What makes me so scared about life is that he's 28.
He's been around for
I remember that Chelsea season. I mean, the 1920 season. That's a long time ago now. 6 years ago, he was 22. But he went Villa for. Did he do a year? Yeah, he did a year with in the Championship where he scored 25 goals, and it was the next year where he got a chance at Chelsea. But as you say, that 3 years at Roma. Again, it's weird that first year very good, 17 goals, then 8 goals, and then only 1 goal.
He won the Conference League, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, went to AC Milan, didn't do much. It's one of those weird deals, and this would be my fear if I was an Aston Villa fan. Is you have to look at the fact that since he had that great season with you in 18-19, decent season 2019-20 with Chelsea, then a bad season, then he went to Roma, very good first season, 27 goals in all comps, wow, and then it's since then in total seasons 9 goals, the season after that 1 goal, season after that 10 goals. This season so far has not been too bad, to be fair. 13 goals in all comps. It's whether or not at 28, with some injury issues in the past, he can come back to the Premier League and have that the explosiveness and strength and power for his skills to shine through. Because I feel like the Premier League, you need that now. You can be the most skillful player in the world if you lack physicality or if you're injury prone. Excuse me, bless me. You have problems. But yeah, an interesting one.
Speaking of interesting, Manchester City go out to Norway to Bodo. I've been there myself, and it is a very, very cold place. I didn't go there in January. I went there in May, and it was still pretty cold. Can be no excuses that game. They had all the big guns on. Rodri sent off, which means he will miss their last game of the Champions League, which I think there's a way in which Man City, if teams around them win, they could drop out of the top 8.
Yeah. I mean, they can. I mean, I was looking at. Sorry to interject when you say that. I was looking at that myself. Actually, I think it's really important. And we'll come back to the league. What were you going to say? Sorry, what was your question going to be? Sorry.
I was going to say, well, obviously, with what's going on with Man City at the moment, losing to Manchester United, where they were completely outfought, outplayed. Even before you got the goals, you were the better team. Donnarumma kept them in it. They then go to Norway. Premier League results before that, they drew to Brighton, Chelsea, and Sunderland. Battered Exeter and beat Newcastle. Look, Wolves at the moment is going to be an interesting game because they're 5 games without a win. And you look at where Man City are in the Champions League, they actually currently sit 11th. I mean, where are Galatasaray?
Well, essentially, Galatasaray are 17th. If Galatasaray were to beat them, there is a possibility even Galatasaray go above them. They go level on points. Goal difference would probably stop that, to be fair. Well, it depends because, no, Galatasaray, this is what's maybe. No, they'll finish above Galatasaray, but they have to get on the final night. City have to get better results because goal difference is the first thing that matters. They've got to get a better result than Sporting, a better result than Barca, a better result than Chelsea, a better result than Newcastle, a better result than PSG, a better result than Tottenham. They essentially need a better result than all those teams. If those teams all win, City are not finishing in the top 8, and that's when it's important to look at those fixtures. The one that Chelsea have probably got the hardest game in that. Well, let's actually have a look at the games.
We play Frankfurt, and they're pretty much guaranteed not to make it, aren't they? Where are Frankfurt?
Yeah, so this is what's interesting, right? So if we look at the league table, Atletico Madrid, who are just behind them, they're at home to Bodo Glimt. I expect them to win that game. Okay, so that's a. You want Bodo Glimt at home. I know they just beat City. I know they've won a couple of. I think they might have won back-to-back games. That was their first win ever in the Champions League. So you used to expect Atletico Madrid to win that game when you look at the fixtures. So that's a team that is likely to go 3 points ahead of City. Let's just pretend City haven't kicked off yet. You then have Barcelona at home to
Copenhagen.
I couldn't remember how to say their name because I'm reading it in their language. Copenhagen. Again, Barca at home to Copenhagen. I personally expect an absolute win in that game. There's also look for Inter Milan, Atalanta's games if we see them, right? Inter Milan are away to Borussia Dortmund. Okay, but why that's interesting is that they need that to be a draw because if Inter Milan win, Inter Milan theoretically could go ahead of them by a couple of points. If Dortmund win, they go ahead of them by 1 point, and that's interesting because their goal difference is better. And if City were to only draw, they could be in trouble. You then have Liverpool that they could catch. Liverpool at home to Karabag. Liverpool win that game. So they're not overtaking Liverpool. Monaco versus Juventus. Juventus are only 1 point behind them, away to Monaco. I'm not sure what happens in that game. Sporting Lisbon play Newcastle at home. So again, PSG played Newcastle at home. I expect that's the great one for them. Is likely one or both are going to drop points in Newcastle or PSG. So if City win, it's one of those two teams they could overtake. If it's a draw, they could overtake both. And that's what they need. Napoli away at Chelsea. They need Napoli to win. They absolutely need Napoli to win that game. And then you've got Atalanta away to Union Saint Chikungujon. So, if Atalanta are to win that game, that's difficult. So that's the issue in all of this. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich and Arsenal are where they are. They're not going to move. I think Liverpool are not where they're going to move. Spurs, you play Frankfurt away. I think you actually win that game. You've been good in Europe. So this is the thing. They need PSG and Newcastle to be a draw, and they need Chelsea to lose. Sporting play away at Athletic Bilbao. They could overtake them, but Sporting aren't even in the top 8. Does that make sense? So City got to win, but they need results to go their way. They could, looking at that, City could be in that knockout phase, have to play 2 extra games. It means a lot of their away legs. That means they'll be away, I think, for the second leg of all the knockout games. They're going to be. I love the new format. I've seen a lot of people slag the new format off this week. I love that the higher you finish, the easier. Not only the easier are your draws by and large, but you get the away legs at home. I think it rewards quality. And And yeah, I'd love to see. I mean, the only gutting thing about it is City can't go out altogether on the night. It would be nice if they could go out, but they're mathematically qualified for that. Napoli's is the craziest because Napoli need to win. That's probably where it helps them.
Where are they, Napoli?
Napoli are 25th. Conte can't get away from them allegations about his international form, bruv.
No, he's European.
He's European form.
I mean, between 1 to 11 is flooded with English teams, and you can't get. My understanding, I don't think. No, I wanted to get you to clarify. Can you get an English team in the last 16?
Yes.
Jesus Christ! So you could end up with say Spurs City, Spurs Newcastle.
So if you're on FootMob, right?
Yeah.
So on FootMob, you can. If you go back to it, you can go to, if you click on knockout phases, it shows you right now, it shows you how it stands. So none of it is, there's no draws after this. Everything's automated based on your position. So what it shows you is
PSG. That's us out immediately.
No. You're not getting PSG. So what it is, if you say everyone stays in these current league positions after the final game, what happens is you and PSG can't get each other. You two are going to be on either side of the draw from each other.
Oh, right. Perfect.
Yeah. So what will happen is this will be it. You and PSG. So it will either be right now Atletico Madrid or City versus Monaco or PSV. The winner of those two games in the playoffs will play either you or PSG. Does that make sense? So if you look at both sides of the draw, they're almost mirror images of each other. And the final positions, I think there might be a little bit. There is no draw. You basically you get who you get. The reason it's is because the league isn't ended. Everything's done like tennis. It's like a seeding place. So the highest ranked team that comes 9th will play the team that comes like 25th. Does that make sense? Like it's almost like that within reason. I think UEFA's website shows it a little bit better. It shows the rankings. So it gives you an idea. But yes, English teams, as you can see, City could play Spurs in the last. So right now, as it stands, City could get Spurs in the last 16. Arsenal can't get an English team. Liverpool. It's only you and City that could play each other with the way the draw is at the minute, but that could change on the final night. The final night can change everything depending on where people finish, as an example. So, for instance, where's Dortmund? Say you guys lost and loads of teams knocked you down, and you finish and you ended up where Dortmund are in the league. Scroll down for me where Dortmund are. Can you drop that low?
16th.
No, you can't quite drop that low. Juve are above them by one position. Yes. Say you drop down to 15th because you lost 4-0 and everybody below you gets points. Say you drop down to 14th. You could theoretically get Arsenal in the last 16 then. I don't think you will drop that low, but that's the point. It all depends on your final league position.
In the last 16.
Mate, I'll be honest with you. I'd love it. With the way it's looking right now, I'd like the English teams to avoid each other. I'd love loads of English teams in the quarters and semis. It would take us back to the peak. This is how you know when English football is when the Premier League is strong internally, is when you start getting lots of English teams in the latter stages of the Champions League. We haven't had that for 15, 16, 17 years, where there has been a mass of English teams year in, year out. I'd like it to start this year and then continue for a few years, where it felt like for a good 5-6 years in the Champions League, every year, there was English teams in the quarters against each other, in the semi-finals and in the finals against one another. I want us to go back to that, man. That was a great era of football, and I'd love us to go back to it.
Speaking of eras, Man City's dominance in recent era has been unbelievable. Do you actually? I've asked this to quite a few people on TikTok. Do you think they comfortably beat Wolves? Because I see them for whatever reason. I think they may draw that game. There's talk of Haaland getting dropped and then playing Semenyo in the 9. What sort of message would that send the City dressing room if your 20-goal striker already this season gets dropped?
Yeah, for me, I feel like I want to make sure I say this.
Games either City. Look, they've got Galatasaray, which we've already spoken about, us, which they always struggle at our place. And if they do go on a bit of a bad run in the next 2 or 3 games, Newcastle could maybe even they score early in the League Cup.
Yeah, I would love for you to be right. The problem is, I don't think you are. I would love City to lose. I think City win the game. Out of all the teams you would want Man City to get after their last two results, the team you want them playing is not Wolves. Although Wolves are on a decent run at the minute. And if it was away, maybe. I just think City will win. They're going to have Gahey in the team. They're going to have Semenyo in the team. They win it. I just wish they had a harder game. Because I think if they're playing anyone that's sort of mid-table and above, I think they could lose because their confidence is on the ground. But you actually look at their next two games should be wins. Then they go away to Tottenham, which is always a banana skin. Then it's Newcastle. Then it's away at Liverpool. So then they have a real tough run of games again. So that's why, again, I'm not saying Arsenal are going to win. It's going to be absolutely easy at this point. And let's see what Gahey does to improve them. But if their next 4 or 5 Premier League games have all got to be wins. They all have to be wins. And then they've got to hope Arsenal start slipping up. Because we go through the next 4 or 5 games, we're suddenly on 28, 29 games played. We're into the last 10. What does that mean? That means you're in the running. And if you're in the running and you're 8, 7, 8, 9 points behind or more, you're almost done out there. So, yeah, they've got to win tomorrow. But I think they need a performance as well, City. I think they need to get some confidence back into them because Galatasaray is going to be a tough game. And then they've got 3 really hard Premier League games. Very hard Premier League games, as we just saw. So, yeah, hopefully Wolves do some. I'd love Wolves to nick a draw. I personally, though, can't see it, if I'm being honest with you. Can't see it.
Yeah, they need to be convincing win, don't they? They haven't really... The last 4 or 5 games, other than the League Cup and the FA Cup, they haven't really been anywhere near the level we've seen of City. And then you look at the fact that I think Haaland's, 3 or 4 games without a goal now as well. The good thing about going into that Wolves game is Jeremy Doku and Semenyo will both weren't even involved in the squad. So they'll both be fully fit, plus Gahey. You probably are right. I just have a feeling that we've seen this before with City. Last year, they went, 8 or 9 games without a win. I'm not saying they're going to do that again, but in the Premier League, they haven't won a game since. They obviously lost to Manchester United. They drew to Brighton. They drew to Chelsea. They drew to Sunderland. They haven't actually won a Premier League game this year yet. And by the time they play, it'll be 24 days in.
Yeah, it's actually, when you actually start to deep that, it is crazy.
For a team that's stacked with, world-class talent, they should be doing better. In terms of the other team in the title race, Arsenal make it 7 wins out of 7 in the Champions League. They are pretty much, at this moment in time, the team to beat in England and in Europe. And they come up against your team, Manchester United. Now, I think, again, if you play like you did against Man City, you are going to cause them a huge amount of problems. I think you really, really are. Plus, they would have played in weeks. You've got a few more days rest, travel, etc. How do you feel going into this game?
I feel like... Sorry, I just got a message through I've got to respond to. So sorry, mate. I feel like... It's a weird one for me. Head says Arsenal win 2-0. Hope says we nick a draw. My heart and the romantic in me says 2-1 Man United. I agree with you. If we are as defensively sound as we were against City, if we work as hard as we did, if we close down the spaces, if we make it hard for Arsenal in terms of suffocating space. But at the same time, if we have great intent in our counter-attacks and we can show them we can lay a glove, there's always a chance. The difference is, though, Arsenal are just better than Man City right now, and especially at the Emirates. So if this was at Old Trafford, I honestly would predict a narrow Man United win. Because it's away from home, I struggle to do that. But I do hope we win. And it's annoying because I wish they'd beaten New Forest and I wish had beaten Liverpool, because then they'd have an 11-point gap. And Man United beating them, because of what I'm talking from the perspective of what I want, wouldn't really damage the title race. The worrying element is I don't want City winning the league. So if City beat Wolves, which I expect them to do, and then we were to go and get the result I want, which is beat Arsenal, there's only a 4-point gap. And then the pressure's on, the knives are out, and I worry City will win the league. But that's the only concern I have. I want to win the game, though. I'm not a Tottenham fan. And the progression of my club means more to me than City not winning the league. So the utopian weekend for me is Wolves beat City and then Man United beat Arsenal, meaning we get what we need, hopefully a good performance as well, but Arsenal have still got that same distance over City, so City don't win the league. So I like to break it down that way because there's multiple feelings going on in my mind at the same time, because I don't want City winning more leagues and I don't want Pep winning more leagues, and that's also connected to Manchester United. But when I saw Spurs fans 2 seasons ago celebrate their own team conceding goals and Son missing that chance, which would have secured you a Champions League position, which for you guys is a little different to us. It does give you guys gives everybody extra pull. We've got great pull with Manchester United, but it's the money that comes with it, the investments you can then do with that. Seeing your fans celebrate losing that game and stopping Arsenal at the behest of your own progression, I couldn't do it. If someone said to me now, Magic One, Terry, United qualify for the Champions League, it means you sign these 2 players and you get this extra money and you go on to better things, or you miss out on all of that, but it stops Liverpool winning a trophy in a season. Or if you get that, Liverpool win the quad, I'm picking my progression. Liverpool can have the quad. Not because I want them to get it, but I would never do something to damage Man United. So not that what I want is going to impact the game. I'm just telling you how I feel about it. So I hope we can do something. I really hope we win. But if I'm being honest, I just think this is one step too far. I just think this Arsenal team, they're not easy to counter-attack against like City have been. So us counter-attacking and getting chances against City impress me, but not as much as us stopping City. Can we stop Arsenal for large parts of the game? We've got that capability. Can we counter-attack and create an abundance of chances to win? I'm not sure, because City are so good. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like I think, and there's no shame if Carrick loses to Arteta, looking at how well they're playing at the moment. They're they conceded 2 goals in the Champions League. I think in all competitions, out of something like 15 games at home this season, or 16 games at home this season, they've only drawn 2 and they've won every other game. Other than the Arsenal fixture, though, your fixture run is actually like, matey might finally cut his hair. Like you should beat Fulham, and against us. I mean, I know we've had your number in recent years, but that could fall in between a Champions League game for us.
Well, I'm very confident of beating you guys this time. Not even based on anything other than probability. And in fairness, in quite a lot of those wins and a draw, we were the better team. I think we were the better team in the final. We were the better team in the draw at Old Trafford last season. We were very good when you beat us at your ground last season. Garnacho missed 4 or 5 sitters in that game. So based on probability, how likely is it you come to Old Trafford and that you're better than us and that we failed to win on the 6th game in a row? Do you get where I'm coming from? Based on probability alone, I think I'm confident we win that game.
Yeah, and you've got Fulham. So if you get a positive result against Arsenal, let's say you get a draw, off that momentum, beating City and drawing with Arsenal, you could quite easily beat Fulham, us, and West Ham. And then you've got Everton, Palace, and Newcastle. And Newcastle is still in the FA Cup, so who knows? They've got Aston Villa in the FA Cup, which is tough. They could still be in the Champions League, who, for whatever reason, they get a fortunate draw. There's fixtures of which Man United fans should look at and go, this is where I expect us to pick up points. Because you haven't had, Brighton in the FA Cup's not the easiest of fixtures. The Manchester Derby, you played Leeds United away, which they get all their points there. You played Villa away just before Christmas. You've had an easy run, but I wouldn't say it's the most easiest. In terms of the fixture, though, I think if you have a resolute defensive performance like you did against City, I think it will be a lot closer than people are saying that Arsenal are going to blow Man United away, 2-3-0 win. And everyone keeps bringing up that Gabriel Jesus goal from a few years ago. I think it will be a close game. I think Mark Carrick's going to ride on this new manager bounce, but I do expect Arsenal to win.
Yeah. That game you mentioned, though, see the Gabriel one. See, this is where sometimes it's easier to misrepresent the truth when you're talking about games that are so long ago that people can't. You have to research them to remember all the intricate details. That game was a very close 1-1 draw, and then Garnacho scored the winner and was offside, but then got given offside by a hair's breadth. Good defending from Gabriel, the way he kind of pulled himself back. And then they scored. They then went to score a late winner. And then with us pushing for an equaliser, they got a third goal. That was one of those results. We also beat them 3-1, I think the year before or the season before that, where Rashford got a brace and somebody else scored. Was it 2-1? Might have been 3-1. I can't remember. I want to say it was 3-1.
Did you see Lingard score?
I'd gone by then. I swear it was 3-1. But sometimes when you're like, I don't remember the exact score, and I want to now because it's annoying me.
David De Gea saved your.
Yeah. Anthony scored. Anthony's first game for the club scored. Then Rashford got 2 goals in the second half. We beat him 3-1. Deserved to win. Slightly the better team on the day. But again, if you go back and watch that football match, Arsenal had 60% of the ball. They had more shots. They had more shots on target, more XG. It was one of those games where we won 3-1. But we weren't 3-1 better than them. Does that make sense? Where we beat City at the weekend 2-0, but we were 5-6-0 better than them. That's just the way football works sometimes. But that Gabriel Jesus game was very much like that. They weren't. If you actually look at Man United if you actually look at Arsenal versus Man United, there's a great website called 11v11. I look at it a lot because it just shows you all the results between the clubs. There have been some beatdowns in both directions, but you actually look at the last few years when, you look at this game, they've won more than we have, there's no doubt. But 1-0 win against us in the Premier League, 1-1 draw in the Premier League last season, 1-1 in the FA Cup, we won on penalties at their ground, 2-0 to Arsenal, 1-0 to Arsenal away, 3-1 is the game you mentioned, 3-2 the season before, again, close game. United win 3-1, I've already mentioned that one. Season before that, there was a 3-1 win in April 2022. I can't remember that game top of my head. And I think I do actually. I think we missed some penalties in that game. I think Bruno missed some penalties in it. Man United won the game before that 3-2. Again, odd goal. Then it was a 0-0 draw, 1-0, 2-0 to Arsenal, 1-0 to Arsenal, 2-0 to Arsenal, 1-1 draw, 2-0 to Arsenal. And then it was a 3-1 to Man United in the FA Cup, then 2-2, 2-1, 3. So there are some 3-1s. But if you go and actually look into most of those games that ended up 3-1, where teams have won by more than a goal margin, the games are still quite close. It was rare that there was one of those wins we had at their ground that it was in the December. Yeah, we beat them 3-1 in December 2017. It says 3-1 to United. I think that was the night where De Gea made about 27 saves.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. The Lingard he scored, didn't he?
Yeah. So these games, there's sometimes teams do win 3-1, but rarely, if you watch it in the last 5, 6, 7 years, is one team not in it. Does that make sense? There's always some jeopardy in it. So that will happen. So I'm not worried about getting beat 3 or 4-0 or anything like that. I'm not. But I have Arsenal as a marginal favourite. It's marginal.
Yeah, it's going to be a close game. I do want to finish on Liverpool. I know time is of the essence. We've only been going half an hour. Liverpool, I think, are 9 games unbeaten now? The last loss was on the 26th of November. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 games unbeaten, including wins away at Inter Milan, Marseille, Tottenham. But obviously, a lot of their fans are unhappy with Premier League results recently, haven't been anywhere near good enough, drawing with Leeds, Fulham, Burnley, Sunderland, Leeds again in the league. They've got Bournemouth away this weekend. And I know Bournemouth have just signed that guy from the Brazilian league for 40 million euros, I think it is. I can't remember what his name is. And it is a Bournemouth team without, Semenyo now. How do you think Liverpool get on? Do you think they go on? Do you think they carry on this unbeaten run?
Their unbeaten run. Most Liverpool fans that come on my shows say it's Fugazi. Barring their European wins have been very good. They're hanging on by a thread. I'm going to go over Bournemouth winning this game. I think Bournemouth win 2-1.
Wow.
I think Bournemouth are going to win this game. But the thing with Bournemouth is they're one of these weird teams at the minute, Bournemouth. If you look at their runs, loads of draws. They beat you 3-2. they barely won a game since October the 26th, my brother's birthday. They barely won a game, but they got beat by Man City quite convincingly. Smashed by Villa, yes, but in so many of their other games, they were good. They just weren't able to get the wins. And again, I'm going on probability. I know they beat you, but based on probability, at some point soon, they're going to take some of these chances in these games that they've been drawing, and they're gonna win. Does that make sense? At some point, they're going to do that. At some point, it's going to come off for them, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think you may be right. I think Liverpool will get like a 1-0 win and stink it out. And they have actually got 3 home games after that in a row against Karabakh, Newcastle, Man City. That Man City game is not actually that far away now. It's only a couple of weeks. But I don't know. I just think Bournemouth, I mean, what's their home record like? I mean, they beat us. They drew to Newcastle, drew to Brighton, drew to Chelsea, lost to Arsenal. I mean, they've got, what, 2 wins in 15 games? But yeah, I mean, if they do pull a result out, it will be quite a big shock considering Liverpool are 13 games unbeaten. I know there's quite a few draws in there. But look, we are going to wrap up. What sort of content you got coming out over the weekend?
Straight facts on the Football Terrace tonight on Friday, and then hosting on the United Stand this evening. And this weekend will just be match reactions. More, unless there's any breaking transfer news, it'll be match reactions all weekend, which is nice because I know you know where you are with match reaction. It's after the game, so yeah, busy weekend. The games are nicely spread, and then we go into next week, which is again more football, more Champions League football, and everything else. So yeah, very excited about it.
Isn't everyone playing on the Wednesday as well?
Yeah, well, they have to all play at the same time so there's no cheating.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, that Wednesday is going to be very, very busy. But look, we are going to wrap up. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe to both channels, and we'll see you soon.